Yay, there she
All
is.
right. We're doing a planning video for a lesson on, what is the lesson on?
On the sum of angles of a triangle. That's the beginning of our lesson. By the end, we're going to know about how to calculate area of the triangle.
All right, so the sum of the angles in a triangle and then calculating area. And we discussed this a little bit before, and you said that the sum of the angles should be review.
It should be reviewed because we've been practicing that through Lone Star. Like every 10 days we get, I believe it's the green color that comes up and it has the angles of a triangle or some type of volume of something that you have to calculate. So the angles, they give them two angles and then they have to figure out the third angle. So they know that the total is 180 degrees.
Okay.
So,
And then, so the new thing, what about area? Have they been doing
So
that a
area,
lot through through Lone Star?
they've done area, not really of a triangle, more so of rectangular prisms. So,
Oh, okay.
But definitely they're familiar with how to find it on their star reference material because we pull that out. So once that comes, I don't think it'll be hard because they
Okay.
understand the parts of the triangle, the base, the height. They understand that.
But that's going to be new.
But
for
that's
them.
new. Calculating area is going to be new. Yep.
All right. And so, how will you know, or what are your goals and objectives? I mean, you just said what they're doing. Are there any other goals and objectives, like instructionally, I guess?
Well, I want to make sure that they can translate. Well, I do want to make sure that they understand the algebra piece as I bring it in, and that they will understand that even though the angles may say 3x, 3x, 6x, that you're actually solving for x, and you would have to plug that back in to calculate the actual angle.
Right.
degree.
So, what strategies might you use?
They're definitely familiar with the variable as a term and how to use it and what it means and how to plug and chug and check our work with that. So probably just continue to do what I've been doing about talking how x is a variable and it means some number. It means a number, and just start calculating that number. And then they'll get more practice of the plug and chug of like what I call plug and chug, putting it back in there to see if it's right. Because at that point they could add them all up and see if they equal 180. So just that checks and balances and understanding how they justify their work.
Okay. So you're gonna just remind them about what the x means and when there's an x there, what it means.
And use that APSJ strategy because on this would definitely be helpful. Some of them don't find it so useful on every single thing they do, but this and on the inequalities they saw how important it was, like to kind of use the APSJ model specifically.
Oh, right, the problem-solving model.
Yeah, because
okay.
totally after we solve, we'll be going straight to justifying on these angles and plugging it back in, saying, oh yeah, well these angles equal 180.
Right,
So.
exactly. And like the analyze is important too, right?
Yeah, the analyze is very important, and I tell them that that's what you're doing when you're reading the problem. You know, I try to make it, because analyze is such a big word for them. I mean, even though you tell them what it means, I tell them, this is what you do when you're reading it. When you're reading what to do, you're analyzing, you're assessing what needs to be done.
Right.
And on the plan, I have them take notes. From Cuban, I like the wick and the wink. We split our analyze column into wick, which is what I know, and wink, what I need to know.
Okay.
So that kind of helps them realize that you're analyzing, you're processing things. And then to the right, we start jotting down things we're going to do, what we think might work.
Do you think that are they good at doing it with a picture when they don't have a word problem? Because what you're doing is a lot more pictures versus word problems.
And when we have the word problems, I make them draw a picture.
Okay.
I force it. Like if it says that Bob had a rectangle garden, you better get a rectangle on your paper. On your plan, you better have a rectangle over on your plan. You know,
So
if it's a triangular
yeah,
garden, then
it's
you need
almost
to
like,
know.
yeah, they already give you the picture. You don't have to draw the
Right,
picture.
but I'm
Now
like, if they don't, then make one.
Yeah,
We had
and
one
then
on a
do.
test that was like, you know, talked about tables and chairs. Like there was 8 tables and each table had 6 chairs. Draw a picture. Draw a circle with 6 X's or whatever around it so you can visualize this setup.
Do you set that up as part of their analyze or part of
That's
their
more the plan, like the
Okay.
plan part, because it's like as you plan, because when you look at that picture, now you can kind of see how can I go down to solve it. You can take notes on how you can solve it.
And since they already have the picture, what would they do? What would you have them do for the plan?
Since they are for the plan, that's where we could just say, you know, maybe you write out the 180 degrees. You go ahead and write the 3x plus 3x plus 6x. It has to equal the 180. You know, just get your equation there or
Right, there
your
you go.
expression, and then jump down, recopy it down to the
Solve.
solve and solve it.
And then justify.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then how will you know that they're successful?
So for success, we're gonna do like the butcher paper, do some graffiti. I say we could have them write down what they learned, like give them, I don't know. I would say 60 seconds, but they probably need 120 seconds. Just write down something that they learned. That could be one option. Another option would be to pass out the index cards like we talked about, A, B, C, D, E, whichever index card you get.
That's the problem
That's
you
the
do.
problem you're gonna work, whether, to
Okay.
post around the room.
And then let's go back to the graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned earlier that they might write 3 sides.
Oh,
I
yes.
know that a triangle has
I would
3
definitely have to
sides.
set the expectations, like, according, just do a closure on what we learned. We talked about side angle relationships. We talked about the total degrees of a triangle. Like, not once did we say there were 3 sides. That is a kindergarten teak. We know that. So it's like, hopefully they won't, but I would have to set that expectation for what I'm looking for.
Yeah, make sure it's something
new
like
that you learned.
New.
Yes.
That you learned. If you already knew that a triangle had 180 degrees, don't write that, right?
Right. Or if you knew it had 3 sides, don't write that.
Right. Something new. And tell them, like, I'm trying to use this to see what misconceptions or what didn't you understand so that I can help you tomorrow. Because if you write just something basic, then I don't know how to help you.
Right.
So,
Yep.
all right. And then what might be some other strategies? Now, I already asked you that question, but I saw it coming. I was like, ooh, I jumped the gun on that
That's
question.
okay. But the Lone Star part, like, the strategy would be to keep bringing in the Lone Star, because I've been real intentional on that, and just keep